and welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I am your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFL round review, and an interesting one at that because as we speak, it is Monday night in Australia, and we are only hours from the last game of the Fight MND round where the big slide has come. It has gone again, one of the coolest things ever. I will actively raise my hand and say I had to watch the highlights probably about 45 minutes ago because I just woke up because unfortunately some thrilling footy on Sunday morning for me caused me to be just the tiniest bit tired, but I cannot wait to talk footy. Like I said, we are just hours away from the round ending, and joining me from lovely Victoria, we have Nick. Nick, again, great to see you, sir. What a round of footy we were just given.
Donny, hello. It's good to be back. Yeah, it's what an amazing round of footy. Like it's obviously we spoke last at the last King's birthday round a year ago. I think last week you had on Naj and Brenna Tarrant, a couple of AFLW stars. So I feel like I don't really live up to that billing, but to get the opportunity to talk about a round of footy like this is gonna be something fun.
Well, again, I know I hate to start off on the sad side, but again, this was a hard round because no Neil Danaher. And again, we've violated Neil again, the fight that he did against the beast that is MND. But as you can see, the people that are watching the YouTube video, Nick is wearing the amazing beanie this year, and how amazing did it look seeing the beanies all around the round, and then again today at the King's birthday game, all of the beanies. We got to keep fighting. We got to make sure that Neil's memory is never forgotten, and that hopefully this beast will eventually be tamed. But we will honor him and honor the fight, reviewing this footy because holy crap, were we given probably one of the craziest rounds of footy I have seen in my life. I don't think I'm stretching too far to say one of the
No,
greatest
it
rounds I
was
think we've
yeah.
ever been given in a long time. And I know a couple of years ago we had one where he had 5 games within 2 goals, and we were basically given the same slate this week. Couple of not so fun ones, which we'll probably go pretty quickly through. But oh my God, the footy this week. Your thoughts, Nick, on a scintillating round of football, and only 8 instead of 9 because we're in this bloody fucking
We're
bye
in
weeks.
we're in the bye weeks. Well, first I just want to reflect what you were saying there, Donny, with yeah, the loss of Neil. Yeah, Varley, like you can't say anything more about him and the entire Danaher family, and Beck and the rest of them who go out and represent him after we've lost him. What a fight! I met a few people today at the MCG. The guy who sold me this particular beanie, he had lost his son to MND 2 years ago. So we can't give up the fight. We will win. Humanity wins, and people like Neil are the reason we do. And as for the round of footy, yeah, I was kind of hoping for a quiet one. I was hoping we'd have a few blowouts, just some regulation wins. We'd come here Monday, you'd wake up, as you say, after on a what is now, I don't know, 6:15 on a Monday morning in the US, and we'd have a nice chat. But yeah, it did not come to that. I think at least 6 out of 8 games were absolute thrillers. One you'd still want to talk about, and one also happened.
hmm Oh, one I just absolutely crazy. Let's jump into this,
Yeah,
and
let's start with it.
we were treated again. We were treated to some absolute amazing footy, and it starts off right off with a crack as the Crows throw a little bit of a curveball into the competition with a 1 point win over the Geelong Cats. And this is one of those no Rochelle. I mean, no, not no Rochelle. No Isaac Rankin. Archie is kind of banged up. No Riley Thilthorpe. The Crows get it done. Like I gotta tip my cap, and Jordan Dawson, you absolute beauty with an incredible game here. But man, if you're the Cats, you come off that amazing win over the Crows, and the next 2 weeks you've laid
But
some eggs.
yeah, so they did go off the Crows. They've come into the Crows, and I think one of the things I saw was wet weather footy is pretty common in Adelaide. And I think the Crows do play it well, but I think Geelong of all teams tend to be able to get down to that level, and you've got some of their midfielders who normally fight. But I don't know, it just seemed like Adelaide just gritted their teeth, stole the show. Ben Keys obviously showed up and performed.
Mhm.
The midfield kept rolling, and yeah, we could talk about Dawson all day. That was just inspirational. It's his first win against Geelong as a Crow.
Mhm.
Put everything else aside, and what he's been through this year has been just something a lot of us don't ever sort of ever want to understand or ever want to experience. But yeah, it was good to watch him get the win. The only other name, I mean, you're asking me to cast my memory back to Thursday. It's been 5 days,
It's fun, isn't
but
it?
the other name was
Um,
Tex, and I hate watching Tex sometimes because he can just be so good and so arrogant, and he was very arrogant on Thursday, but he should have been. So
no, he's
yeah,
Tex is one of those that he knows he's good. I mean, I just finished the sample show, and one of the things that we joked about was the fact that he could have been Queen Diva going down and not wanting to play against Glenelg and absolutely, I mean, went absolutely bonkers. I mean, takes mark of the year potential, kicks goal of the year
all the
potential, and
potential.
helps them get over a very good
Yeah,
Glenelg team. So I love what Tex Walker did there because he talked the talk and walked the walk. And I think that's the one thing I got to give to him. And another person I want to give a huge shout, Dan Curtin. Welcome back, Dan
yeah,
Curtin, because
yeah.
he's kind of meddled around a little bit as he's come back from his injury. And if I'm a Crow supporter, I'm starting to get chuffed now. I'm starting to get excited because if Dan Curtin starts to find it, Dawson is playing some really good footy. Texas come back. You did this without Riley Thilthorpe. Okay. Your back line still isn't fully healthy. You have injuries. Hinge is still out. I know, unfortunately, I think you lost Butts for a few weeks in this. You still have
No,
Keen still to come back. This is a Crows team that honestly I know that they're fighting some injury, but there's got to be some confidence in the Crows camp because they're starting to play better footy as they're starting to get more of their top level, top 22, 23 guys healthy for the most part. I said Mitch Hinge still isn't even it still isn't even in this side yet because he's had that hamstring injury. So the funniest thing about it is that this Cats team has become Jekyll and Hyde a little bit because they've shown with wins over Fremantle and Sydney that they're one of the best teams in competition. But they've had dropped some games that let's just be honest, you would not expect a team that should be a flying contender to drop. And it is no disrespect to Carlton and it's no disrespect to Adelaide, but these last 2 weeks have really showed like what is the reality of this Cats side? Are they a champion, a premiership contender because of wins over the top two sides in the competition? Or are they a meddling fifth through eighth team that is going to get in and cause all sorts of I just really don't know. Like this Cats team, they've got me befuddled a little bit because I
yeah,
don't know what is their true form.
and are they going to rely on wins in Geelong? Are they going to rely on wins at Cardinia Park, which they're very good, but I've seen them drop games this year and last there, and no matter how many games you win at Cardinia Park due to the AFL system, you're not going to be winning finals there. So they need to win a lot more games than just those ones,
Yep,
and they're not going to be they're not going to win games in September out there. But I mean they have the quality there.
yep,
Dangerfield
yep.
is still running around playing
Agree.
excellent footy. They've got one of the forward lines that just run around and kick goals when they want to. But no, I agree. They haven't performed. And I think they've got an interesting one coming up next week as well. That's with the Suns, but we can talk about that later.
Yep. Nope. We'll let's go back to it. And for those that are watching the YouTube video, they will know that my co-host was super chuffed on the Friday night footy as his beloved Western Bulldogs get a 1 goal win, 77-71 over the Hawthorn Hawks. And sir, you were at the ground. How awesome was it to go beat those mighty Hawks or the bloody Hawks or a few other terms we won't use on this
Expletive Hawks
particular
that
podcast
might have
on that. Yep. Um, how
yeah
good was it? Because I mean, there were some doubts the doggies could do it.
it was a bit emotional. Like I feel like the last two emotional footy wins I've had have been against the Hawks at the G. And I don't, or actually the 2019 win against them, you might correct me. Maybe that was at Marvel, but I just remember there were two late goals that James Sicily conceded and we got over the line. But both of those games are probably two that just stick in the memory. And maybe it is just Hawthorn. But yeah, look, I know anyone who looks at the statistics and looks at the score worm will say that 1 goal 11 is what we'll hear about. Lewis dropping that mark in the last minute is what we'll hear about, and Chol missing from outside is what we'll hear about. But yeah, I think there was a bit of passion in that dog's win. I love the banter. I loved the fight. You used the phrase "talk the talk, walk the walk" earlier, and that's actually what Nick Watson said at halftime when they
Hmm.
asked him about his little run in. I think it was with Lewis, but maybe not. I can't quite remember. But he said he's got to walk the walk, and I think the Dogs walked the walk in that second half. Like there were no superstars. Richards, Bont, Sanders just did what they do.
Hmm.
Trelaw was keeping pace for once. It all just looked good. But at the same time, I give my I give my flowers to Hawthorn. You know, Nick Watson, which is just incredible to watch that first half. And, you know, they were missing a few players who I remember beat us up in the corresponding game last year. So, you know, guys like Meek and that, they just weren't there. Yeah, this was a good game of footy. And yeah, look, I'm just happy, Don.
Well, I will say this as a lover of great stories, Cody Waitman's story,
Ah,
having
sorry, I didn't
everything
agree
that
to.
he had to deal with, and for him to come out, did he have the most spectacular game? Absolutely not. I wasn't expecting him to because this is his first game of full-fledged, full-on footy in over a year. And I've seen the pictures of his knee, and boy, does that look like a scientist's experiment again. And I don't mean that in all disrespectfully. Everything that he had to deal with. I'm happy for Cody. I'm happy that he's back
Yeah.
on the park, and I hope that he gets back to the footy that he was playing pre-injury because
And,
he's an exciting small forward that can fly at the footy. He's one of those. There's still one of my favorites is when he took the specky on Max Gone
thanks.
and and JB absolutely is high flying little man, and just it's absolutely hilarious. I still absolutely laugh so hard whenever I hear it, but so happy for Cody.
Yeah. Can I jump in before you get into
Go
the
ahead.
analysis? Because I just want to echo that. Like having the flea back. Yeah, I probably almost should have said that, but I was too excited about the game.
Oh, no, you're
He,
good.
what is it? What was it? 600 odd days out. I
Yep.
can't remember
Yep.
exactly, but with a bipartite patella, a phrase I'll never, you know, never forget, but also never use in any other context. If anyone watching or listening has Instagram and looks up his page and just looks at the story he's told recently,
Mhm.
like it's just images and a couple of videos of what he's been through over those 2 years. To come back straight in, play AFL football, you could just see take the football away from it also almost the semblance of a young guy who just enjoys doing what he does, enjoys being with his mates. And yeah, it was really beautiful to see. I won't lie, I heard him get booed a little bit by the Hawthorn fans. I think it was just pockets, and I don't know if it was just in my head, but I think most people were happy to see him out there. I think the one thing I boo him for is trying to handball off in the last quarter instead of having a shot on goal. And he'll never do it again.
No, I've footy supporters, some really need to pull their heads in a little bit, but it's just one of those, like, for me, this game just shows the class the Western Bulldogs have on their day when they all come to play. Like, I think Eddie Richards feels better. I think Bontempelli is slowly getting through some of the soreness he was fighting through. And the crazy part about it is that Timmy English, like, I think it's been beaten to death, but I think Timmy English really has shown this year he is such an integral part of this team. And you wouldn't think
Absolutely.
so. You would think having Bont, Richards, Dale, all of these, Naughton, all of these amazing players. But it's your tall, lanky ruck that's athletic as all get out is really your centerpiece because when he doesn't play, They have
Who
looked
gives him the ball?
listless. Oh yeah, well they've looked listless, they've looked rudderless. So many different analogies I could go with. And I said it a few weeks ago, just after the injury. I said I think English is going to be more of a loss than if Bont were to set out a week or if Ed Richards were to set out a
Yeah,
week. Why? Because they've got Trelaw. You've got so many other like Frazier, the mini Bont, have been able to step into some of the other midfielders' roles and been able to do that role just as well. But they don't really have another rock. Like
to go
Lob
around.
came in
Yeah,
and did decent. I'm not again that game against the Melbourne Demons. Like I think Lob really did his job. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. Neutralize Max Gone as much as he possibly can, and give the doggies a shot. But English being back in this game against the mountain men that is Lloyd Meek and Ned Reeves, that's not an easy thing to do. Now, it also helps that neither of those guys can kick straight, including two in this game that were absolutely laughable. And again, I'm not trying to laugh at a player, but a couple of set shots by Ruckman showed why Ruckman don't like to kick very much,
yeah.
especially
But Tim
those.
Tim does. That's one. That's
But
again
that
another string to his bow.
it's like Luke Jackson and
Luke
like Brody
Jackson.
Grundy, Max Gawn, these guys that are defy the ruck kicking odds
Yeah,
are the ones that I love. But unfortunately, Ned Reeves and Lloyd Meek are kind of still this old school ruck that really they're good for taps, they're good for the occasional give and go handballs, but that's really about it. And again, I mean no disrespect to either Ned Reeves or Lloyd Meek, but they haven't really shown me that they can be that attacking threat. They can be intercept markers, but you don't want them kicking. You just don't. So I think that's kind of the thing there. So Timmy English making an impact, making a change. Again, Bont is Bont. You know he's gonna be good. Like I said, Ed Richards, you can tell he feels better. You can tell he feels
yeah.
you can tell that he's a
Yeah.
bit more fit than he was earlier in the year when he was super sore. Trelaw, I still think they're still kind of getting him back up to AFL standard. I still think he's a little I still think he's a little rusty.
I don't think he'll ever reach that level of AFL
I agree.
standard. I
No,
think, like,
100%.
yeah, but I think that's the thing. On Friday, he showed what he could do in
Yep.
terms of here's my capacity, here's what I can achieve, which is a
Yep.
big difference to the first game or two he's played this year,
Yep.
which
Yep.
he just looked out of step.
Yep, yep. Well, like I said, it's and the thing will be is that they'll need Trelaw to step up just a little bit. With most likely, I have a hard time seeing Libba getting back. He's still in protocols. This is however many concussions in a short amount of time. I really really worry. And again, I hope I'm not right. I really do. I will touch
Well,
wood in so many ways. I worry he's done. I really
if
really worry he's done.
yeah, if you are, I mean, that's the thing. If you ask the Western Bulldogs medical staff, they'll say he's out of protocols. He's now managing a knee. Do we believe that? Is it a bit of both? Like,
Do
there's a few
clubs
things
tell
up
us
in
the
the air.
truth? Let's be honest.
Of course,
No.
all the time, Donnie. What do you mean? They're
Absolutely
totally
not.
honest.
I just
No,
I my
exactly.
simple
Yeah.
rebuttal to that is look at the Geelong Cats. Like I don't mean that like making fun of them. Like I mean it seriously. Like the clubs do not tell us the truth, and I don't think they ever will. And I kind of like it because it really pisses off journos that they don't get what they think they deserve. Like it's like the people that complain like, well, we want to hear a player after a game. Why? Why? Do you really want to hear a player that is not in a good mood and may drop the magic? Some people might find that entertaining. For me, it's literally my wife has actually said this and I actually fully agree with it. It's like in some of the sports when like you just lost. How do you feel?
Yeah.
Like to face. Like
Exactly.
it does it I don't want to hear that because I know what I'd be like if I had that happen. Like if we just lost a game and you put a microphone in my face, I might say something really stupid. So let's just be honest. So I kind of get it. Like I legitimately understand some of these clubs like kind of they're throwing out Bolt to get the journos off them a little bit. So fully understand that. But do I understand? But it's like when people are like, "Well, we need transparency because of betting markets." My first reply is, "Well, you
Well,
guys you guys got into bed with the betting markets. Sounds like a personal problem to you."
that's got nothing to do with footballer. As much
Nope.
as we, as much as unfortunately it does, yeah, none of
Hey,
us want
have
to
a punt. That's perfectly fine with me. But my first response is that I don't we that
nothing to
none
do
of
with
these
it.
teams, players, coaches, anything hold any responsibility because that person decided they wanted to put $5 down on Bont getting 35 disposals. I don't care. That's on you.
100%.
You decided to do that. I'm sorry. That's not my fault. The teams do not owe you anything for that. You decided to have a punt. You took the risk. It's the same response. Let me let me go on this real quick rant. It's we have this
Please.
issue of American sports. It's like I know in the NBA they talk about load management, and I've said this a couple of times. I am in Iowa, so for those that know about the Caitlin Clark craze that's gone over, and again, I've watched Caitlin since she was a young girl. Where does it say in a ticket that you were guaranteed to see the superstar that you paid a ticket? Tell me, because my first response is there's nothing on that ticket that says that you are guaranteed anything. You have that ticket to go to that game on that day. There's nothing guaranteed on that ticket at all. So the people that complain when they don't get a certain thing is it's really just you whinging because you feel slighted. Well, again, life ain't fair. That's just the way it is. So,
And when you, yeah, and when you put that on the back of, as you say, gambling or making some sort of multi, like you've got the parlays in the US, we've got the multis over here in Australia.
yep.
Putting that on the back of what is happening in a bunch of sporting teams is, yeah, not really a testament to anything. Some, I mean, we've got a little bit off track of just Liberatore's fitness, but I think I
And
do agree
that's
with what you're saying,
yeah,
Donny.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, no, no. I like I
it
said,
is whatever it is. The guy cannot play football currently, and we
I
shouldn't. Yeah,
I only want him to play if he's going to be healthy. Again,
correct.
my biggest thing is I don't want him to hit 60 and not be able to remember his own name. I don't want
And
him.
be lucky to hit 60.
Yeah, or that too, or hit 50 and be in a nursing home. Like I don't
Yeah,
want that. I want Libid to be able to live his life as unique as it is, and I say that lovingly. I don't say that in any way as a diss or a make fun. No, I legitimately
yeah,
Libba is Libba, and I love that about him.
yeah.
I want him to be happy, healthy, and live as best a life as he possibly can post footy. If he wants to continue to play and can do it safely, that's fine. But if he can't, I just want him to know that he is still cared about in the Western Bulldogs community, which I know he is, and that he can go out not having to worry about any more of those issues. So, but like I said, my gut tells me he's done. And I don't like saying that. Trust me, I do not because he's a
Uh,
hell of a football player.
yeah.
But I have to be honest. I, it's too many concussions in such a short amount of time. I just really, really worry that he is done, and they're just trying to wean him to the end of the year and then announce his retirement come finals time. Like that's
So
what I
that's
really
so
think's going.
yeah. So that's the question of what they say to us. As long as they're doing the best by him, it doesn't really matter. And I think given your Sydney experience, we'll talk about a bit later. Like, yeah, of all things, concussion is just massive with some
Yep.
of our footballers. But yeah, I think that, I mean, for me, that's probably my last comment on the game is we've got a lot of stars that could still come back in. Whether they do or not, we only want them back in if they're well. And same for the Hawks. You want your Gunstons of the world back as long as they're well.
Yeah, no. So I have to say this, and this is the craziest thing because this round is such a book. It's such a bookend round. It's kind of hilarious because I think the best parts were the first few matches and the last few matches. These two in the middle, the next two in the middle, kind of ruined the round a little bit. And I don't mean that at all disrespectfully, but let's just be honest, it is because
Yeah,
compared to the rest of the games of the round, these two are kind of the stinkers because we'll head out your former way down in Bunbury, out in the West Coast, as the first of the two games that North sold to WA. And unfortunately, they were welcomed by the WA Fremantle Dockers quite rudely with a 124 point win. The Dockers said, North Melbourne, thank you. We'll take over. And
yeah,
wow, did they. I mean, this is scary. If this is the Dockers team that we're going to get the rest of the season, holy crap, are they going to be fun to watch?
yeah. I looked back at some of our notes from the corresponding round. last year because there was a game in Bunbury and I only had one note and it just said, why? Because if you recall, it was the Eagles who
Yep.
played North in Bunbury, and it was just one of the most awful games in perfect conditions. I think it was about 6 goals apiece. It was
Yep.
just a disgrace of a football match. But this one was this why in a different way. It just felt like a procession. Like some games feel like training drills. This actually, like I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. I saw the mini. I looked at some highlights, so to speak. It just felt like a training drill. It looked like a very deliberate attempt to develop every play. Like outside of Pat Voss, who is in, I won't call him Brownlow contention, but he's in MVP contention
Hmm.
because the coaches will look at him. Everyone will look at him as just the most influential player. He was brilliant. And outside of him, everyone just basically looked like they were getting told, all right, your time to line up and kick 2 goals. Your time to line up and get 20 possessions. You know, Jai Amos, who's been very good the last month, I don't think he kicked a goal in the
Hmm.
first half. And they said, all right, now you have 2 goals.
Yep.
It was just a procession. And I don't know, just with North getting that win over the Suns, it almost was like they were happy with that. They walk away. I think was that last week or 2 weeks ago?
Two
I think
weeks
they
ago.
had a bye. They had a bye in between.
Yep.
They almost seemed happy with that, and then they had the bye, and they walked into this game and just didn't
Bleh.
didn't perform. Blur is the right word. I will. Okay,
I
before you do, I'll give one bit of credit. Did you see the Fremantle banner before the game started?
I did not. I haven't had a chance to see it.
Okay, I had it written down, and I think I still might have got it wrong, but it just said, let's take on the North from the East in the South of the West." And I thought,
I
that's
love it.
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So I'll give him that was probably the highlight of the match for me.
Yeah, no, this is just Fremantle is scary good when they want to be. And my favorite part, and I've heard a few people say it, and this is un-Fremantle like um normally, because normally Fremantle's one of those that they win the tough scrappy games against teams that they probably should smoke by like
Yeah,
15 points. Like they're notorious for underperforming in games that they probably should win, that should be percentage boosters. So I'm kind of happy with Fremantle because they kind of showed they have a ruthlessness now that they haven't had in years before, which I think Longmuir, I think you could tell he was much happier with this because again, this is always one of those that personally every time I watch them in games like this, they win by 18, they win by 21. It's a win, but it's not a 60, 70, 80 point win. So 124, like that is an impressive win. That is a percentage booster. It really does buoy the club. For North, I've heard people say it's like, are they resting on their laurels already after the Gold Coast win? And take again, this is a Jekyll and Hyde North team that have
yeah,
really started to just do my head in because you look at performances like against Sydney, where they took Sydney all the way to the wire. And again, I think it's a little bit of Sydney taking them lightly a little bit, them having a really good game plan. Finn Sullivan being out for this game, I think is a really effective because he's been a really good tagger. Like, who would he have went on? Would he have went on Brayshaw or would they have tried to put him on Shea Bolton? I don't know because he doesn't play in this. It's like it affected them. So th I don't want to get off North because I still see Tristan Cherry, one of the best rucks in the competition, despite his size. A midfield that on its day can be quite dangerous.
of
Sheasel,
course.
LDU,
Yeah,
Wardlaw, Stevens out on the wing, Jai Simpkin out on the wing. A midfield that can do a lot of damage. A Nick Larkey who usually is very, very accurate when he gets the footy in hand. Cam Zurha has been able to go to that halfback flanker role with Luke Parker and be quite dangerous with footy in hand because they're really good kicks. You've got some decent players throughout the ground. Paul Curtis is an incredible small forward that I think anytime that he wants to can put up a mark of the year. Cooper Trembath has been a pleasant surprise for this North team. The issue is that they're still inconsistent with their output each and every round. There are 3 or 4 rounds they play great, and then there's that one absolute dud, and this is just happens to be it at the worst possible time.
and I think it. it speaks to who could have stood up. Like you mentioned a few names there, like Dave Juniak. Where is he? As I said, I did not get too involved in this game once I saw the score.
Yep.
I did a very ritualistic check of the stats. Like this is where I would have expected a Nick Larkey or someone to have stepped up at halftime, three-quarter time and said, guys, what the is going on?
Yep.
Like, why are we like this? What is so different to this game that we're playing here at Hands Oval compared to how we played against the Gold Coast, against how we play at Marvel, how we run at the MCG, or when yeah, it
Yep.
just
Yep.
as you say, Jekyll and Hyde is right, and it's more frustrating to see them do that because there's no explanation.
Hmm.
There's no difference between a game here.
Yep.
Sorry, take nothing away from Fremantle. They were playing who are the team that are the best in the comp. But as you say, Fremantle don't put teams away by 20 goals. This may have been, I can be fact checked on this. This may have been their biggest win ever, or at least against
I'd have to
North.
check, but I think I
Yeah,
heard somewhere that it's
it
like
was def
it's one of them. It's one of
it's
their
one of
top wins
Fremantle's
they've
biggest
ever
wins
had.
ever.
Oh yeah.
And when you take a team that generally, as you say, they tend to grind wins, especially against shit teams.
Hmm.
They don't do 20 goal wins, and they did a very easy 20,
Yep.
20 goal win.
Yep.
At yeah, yeah, it was a North home game too. Don't forget
Yep.
that.
Yep. It's the interesting one. Again, it's what frustrates me about this North team. But again, it's weird to say it, but I'm kind of happy for Fremantle because they finally did what I think a lot of people have expected them to do, and that's get a huge percentage
Yeah,
booster for them because it took them from, I think, going into this round, they were only at like 116 and they're up to like 170 now. So they it really helped them out percentage wise when it came to it. Gives them a little bit of a buffer, gives them kind of an extra half a game there. So
and
let's
yeah, it probably shows where they need to be.
exactly. Let's move to People First Stadium where this is probably the most how to say this. This is probably the Q clash with the least amount with the least amount of publicity I've ever seen. Because like normally the Q clashes are something we talk about because you have a Brisbane Lions team who's done it and is there, and a Gold Coast team that I think secretly will all openly admit we think is coming. Like with the talent that's coming in, with Dimma at the helm, with bringing in Petraka, we all thought any footy fan you talk to, any expert, again, I do the air quotes for that because again, I don't think anybody will ever completely be an expert of this particular sport. This was the Suns' year. This is the year the Suns make the jump. They could be a top four side. They could potentially be a premiership side. And the big brothers go, baby brother, man, have your seat, take your place. As the two-time defending premiers get a 31-point win, 106-75. And I say it again, old Gold Coast Suns, no matter who's at the coaching staff, always come back at some time. This is old Gold Coast Suns for me. A game that's there for the taking. A Brisbane Lions team that is perfectly ripe
Vulnerable.
for a win, and you bugger it up in spectacular form.
Yeah. I'm only gonna throw. I was gonna throw this stat in later, but it was only one that had been bugging me pretty much just constantly about this game, and it's about Gold Coast coming back from Darwin. So
Hmm.
5 years they've
I've
been
heard this.
playing in
Yep.
Darwin. You've heard the stat.
I've
So
heard
they
the
are 10
stat.
and 0. You've heard it. They're 10 and 0 in
Yep.
Darwin since
In
they've
Darwin.
started playing their
Yep.
2 games a year. They are now 4 and 10. Every year they've gone in the 3 games subsequent to their Darwin run.
Yep.
They've gone 1 and 2,
Yep.
and this year they're 0 and 2, which means they should win next week. But yeah, I don't think that's how statistics work
If they're consistent.
if they're consistent. But this game wasn't just them losing, and I don't know, Donny, is there something in them struggling coming back? But this just looked like if they started the game at the 20-minute mark of the first quarter and ignored everything that happened before, it would have been a decent back and forth.
Yep.
But the first 20 minutes of the game, Brisbane just said, "Sorry guys, we're
Ah,
done. We're doing this." Like they just the it was just absolutely put the game at arm's length. Um, I yeah, I saw the scores and then I watched the replay and said, yeah, the scores pretty much said it.
yep.
Um, Gold Coast would get a bit of momentum, but Brisbane would then just put down their foot again and say, no, no,
Mm.
we lift, we kick away. And it just happened again and again and again.
Yep.
It, yeah. I mean, just on things I would have pointed out was just, I mean, Logan Morris, you can't not speak about it. It was incredible. He kicked 7-4, and I don't know how many he put out in the full or kicked into the man on the mark. Uh, but every single goal or every single attempt at goal seemed to be something different. Like it was not a
Hmm.
spearhead performance. It was a kick out in front. It was a snap across the body. It was a dribble through the line. So, that I think that was just great to watch. And the other one was Lockie Neal, who got the first possession of the entire game and I think another 36 or 37 for the game. So
Hmm.
I'll throw them out there. And I struggle to find anyone other than maybe Noble from Gold Coast who would put their hand up and say they played a good game.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm starting to see more people come to this, is that I really think this is a personnel issue more than it is coaching, because we've seen Gold Coast under multiple coaches have this same problem of they start well. They start really well. And everybody's, this is the year Gold Coast are going to get their you know what together. They're going to get their shit together. And every year, post round 10, we see this nosedive. And it's almost always player driven. Like Dimma, the coach, the three-time premiership coach, the coach that proclaimed to us in his thing that 60% of his premiership side was already in the building. And I laughed my ass off when he said that. I was like, Dimma, you're absolutely on something. Please share. Um,
Oh, he is, but that's a whole
I
other story.
I'm sorry, but I'm starting to say I think they need to shift some of these stars out and start getting some grunt players, because Anderson, Rowell, Petrarca, Bailey Humphrey, and again, I know he went to hospital later, and I hope he's okay. I hope everything's good. But Noble, Rioli, like Mac Andrew, like so many stars, so many really good players. But this happens way too much. And it doesn't matter what coach. Like I said, it happened under the previous coach. It's happened under Dimon, happened under two coaches before. This second half of the season, or this after round 10 fade, is just really, really freaking annoying, because it's basically telling me it's the list and the players. It's not the coaching. The coaching
But
cannot change the effort that we're getting. And I just think, are we seeing too many stars and not enough mongrel players in this Gold Coast side?
so isn't that culture then? If it's not players like you're saying there, I mean that was my big thing is you're putting Rao, Petrarca, and Anderson in the middle,
Hmm.
and you're saying they're not good enough. They should beat every midfield in the AFL, like
Yep.
short of like you put them up against Bont, even Liver and
Bontleba
Richards,
Richards,
like
Bontleba Chalor.
Law, Fraser, like they're just as good.
Put Sydney in there with
Yeah,
Heaney, Warner, and Robonum.
run
Put
run Cripps
um
and co up against them,
when
like
Porta's healthy, Drew Butters, and Rosie, Fremantle's Brayshaw, Young, and Sarong, like
I put
legitimately
them all on the same level. But so but
100%,
what you're saying, Donny, is
100%.
that but you're saying they're not good enough. So
I'm
I
not
don't know
saying
if
that
it's
they're not good enough.
personnel.
I'm just saying that, are
Yeah,
they
they
are
don't want it
they
enough. They're not in.
responsible enough?
Yeah.
Two ways. Because again, I've said this before. Why is Melbourne playing better footy after moving Oliver and Petrarca on? Oh, I know why. Because sometimes superstars know they're superstars and they don't want to do the mongrel work that a Harvey Langford, a Trent Rivers, a Jake Bowie, these unheralded players are doing now.
So
Like,
you're seeing it more as a champion team versus the team of champions. Then
exactly. Like that's
okay,
sometimes I think that's the thing. Like if you look at it, sometimes these mega superstars aren't always defensively sound. And it's not against them, because that's their one wood. Their one wood is their ability with footy in hand, or to go get the footy
yeah.
to have footy in hand. Petrarca has always been an annoying to me, because is he great with footy in hand? Absolutely. Sometimes he has his issues. Is he great forward pressure? Absolutely. Defensively, that's when he starts to become a little suspect, because he tries to play through the front of the contest, and if it goes the other way, does he put in the max effort to get back into defensive structure? Let's be honest, I don't think so. Anderson has that problem sometimes too. Rowell is probably the most defensively
I was going to
sound
say
of the
Rao is the
three.
only one who would play off the back three. Yeah,
But even
yeah,
he sometimes has his moments where he's hunting for the footy so much that he actually gets himself into becoming a defensive liability. And that's the problem is that when you have guys like Sam Collins, Mac Andrew, Noble, Rioli, Euland, they're great with footy in hand. Are they great defensively? Collins, yes. The others, I think they're
yeah.
more based for their offense than
Well,
their defense. So
see
when
Mac
they're
Andrew. Yeah,
so when they're constantly having to play defense, they're not as effective offensively because they've fatigued. They've got things under their legs. So I'm happy for Brisbane because they've been kicked and absolutely they've been gutted a little bit with a combination of injury, lack of form. Are they done like dinner? I don't think so because they're the Brisbane Lions. They've done this before. They've played like absolute shithouse for 8 rounds and then absolutely become the team to beat come round 22. So we've seen it before, but they're digging themselves a hole that I'm not sure this year they can dig out of. This is a win. This is a nice win. But again, I also, is this as impressive a win as Gold Coast round four when they were absolutely humming? No, it's not because we've seen Gold Coast ugly side, and it is quite the putrid sight. So we'll
yeah, the top and
we'll
the bottom.
see. So again, I'm not gonna overreact to this. I'm not like, oh, Brisbane's back. No, I'm not gonna say that because I don't think so. I again, there's still so much footy still to be played. We will see. I am still a wait timeout type on Brisbane. I am a hold when it comes to getting hyped for Brisbane and all that. So surprisingly, let's move on to Optus Stadium where we've gotten the two games that weren't close, that weren't
Yeah,
competitive out of the way because we were treated to quite the run home. We'll start off Optus Stadium as Port Adelaide survive a scare and get a 6 point win over the West Coast Eagles. And I want to do this before we even talk about it. We kind of did this pre-mic. Ruben Jimby, we love you. Damn it. I'm so gutted for
yeah,
him because this guy is a warrior. And I don't normally like using those type of wordings, but I absolutely love Ruben Jimby. He's one of those, honestly, if I could, as a Swans fan, if I could trade for him to be our fullback, I would do it in a heartbeat. I love his effort. I love his intensity. He just gets after the footy. The guy has the mongrel that I've said some teams need. I absolutely love him. To see him go down with that quad injury, absolutely giving everything to try to stop an open goal. I absolutely love it. I'm gutted for this West Coast team because again, I, their inconsistency because of their youth is going to happen. I know that. This is a port side was perfectly set up to get another win and to maybe for the Eagles fans to dream about maybe slipping into finals because of some of these teams around them absolutely tripping over themselves. Port get the win. Happy for Port. I'm loving what the Eagles are doing. I'm loving that the West Coast fans are getting up and about no matter
yes,
what. It, it is an intimidating atmosphere going out west when Fremantle and West Coast are up and about because Optus Stadium can be a cauldron. I love Harley Reid. Will Dersma is playing well. Cooper Duff Tyler, he's this close to breaking out. And when he does, he's going to be so much fun to watch. They've started to get those young pieces in the right places. They still don't have that prime great player in that 27 to 22 age bracket. So there's still going to be some inconsistencies, but I love the way the West Coast Eagles is playing. Port Adelaide, they got it done. This is a team that they're going to be fighters this year because I just don't like Mitch Georgiadis again is fantastic. I just wish he kicked straight. His issue is that he's just too inconsistent kicking the ball. Like as deadly a forward as he is, I almost don't mind sometimes when he marks it because you just never know what's going to happen. That's that's kind of the fun part. Port did what they needed to do. This was this the most fascinating, thrilling game? No, but a cracker, and the Eagles did their best. They damn near came back, but Port did just enough to get the 4 points.
I may have well have just given you my notes, Donny, because I think what we only discussed Jimby briefly, but everything you've said is very much exactly what I observed from it. I think it was the Eagles snapped the win. I think it was 2 months ago. Port Adelaide, sorry, in
Yep.
Adelaide gave up a 5 goal lead and a quick start, and the Eagles got the win. But this kind of felt similar. But it was only looking at the worm the next day that I realised that Port had actually led from about the 10-minute mark or 20-minute mark of the first quarter and had led the
Hmm.
whole way through because the momentum the Eagles had, they had the run, they had the crowd, as you said, the raucous crowd, and really, to be honest, they only had themselves to blame.
Hmm.
They did a lot to get back there. Tom Cole kicked a couple late, and that was great to see. If he kicked that third, it would have been incredible for a swingman. Waterman kicked three, but he'll be kicking himself and he'll probably miss when he kicks himself as well. But if any of those goals had gone through, it just could have been a different game. Georgiades, as you said, I think he only kicked the one, but he seemed to present all game. He was the one who Jimby was chasing down when
Hmm.
he did himself in. And yeah, that to me was the big one. I'm an East Perth fan. He's an East Perth product. And I see him not with the Royals bias, but I see him as being a future captain at West Coast. Whether it's at fullback or if he gets himself sort of a, leaner body and starts running through the middle, he could do that. Otherwise, McCarthy, he just seems to be getting meters gained. He just seems to be running, accumulating, doing well. And then at Port, look, my future favorite Western Bulldog, Zach Butters, great game. Um, him and Hort. Sorry, I had to get it in there.
You're
There's a Port
good.
Adelaide fan who'll watch this one day, and she's not going to be happy with me. Horn Francis, he just seems to be growing and maturing, and to kick that sealer just to develop it, it was just, I think they just showed a bit of class, and as you say, they looked good in what was a very good game of football in the end.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, let's move to the next one because I think this is one I know I can't wait for Nick to hear my reaction to
No, no,
this one. But
yeah,
no. I'm gonna send it to you first because everybody's gonna ask me how and my stories on how this game played out is hilarious. Let's go to the SCG where the Swans get a 2 point win. But Nick, I'll go to you.
honest.
If you tuned into this game at quarter
Well,
time and saw the score, and then I told you stop the game and said Swans are going to win this by 2 points. You probably would have looked at me and said, "What drugs are you on? And can I have some?" Because legitimately, you'd asked me at quarter time, "Can the Swans win this?" I'd have told you, hard to see it. And that's me
yeah.
being bluntly honest. I'm gonna let you take over your thoughts on this game, and then I'll tell you how crazy this game was for me personally, both as coach and as fan, Donnie.
Yeah, well, that is good because I must admit I was watching it very passively, thinking, oh, it's just another game going on a Sunday afternoon because it's the Sunday 3 p.m. game for
Hmm.
us. And I saw the score line and thought, St Kilda have finally stepped up in a game you don't expect them
Yep.
to. Liam Ryan was running rings around everyone. I take it to the end of the game, he probably took mark of the year and
Hmm.
at least a big chance for it. Naz has been struggling for a long time this year, but he seemed to stick to just pop up. He wasn't really kicking goals, but he had 30 odd possessions.
Yep.
He seemed to be doing well. For Sydney, look, let me preface this and say I sent you a message at what I believe was about 3 a.m. your time just to do
Hmm.
a welfare check. And I know the response I got from you, so I'll get you to talk me through that. From Sydney's perspective, look, I just saw Heaney doing Heaney things.
Yep.
He is currently out doing Bont, he's out doing Butters. He is just the best player in the league. And then you take Warner and Blakey and just let them run rings as well. Yeah, I can comment on some things with the umpiring, but I don't think that was a problem. And I don't think it's even worth discussing. Donny, talk me through Was it a measured comeback, or did the Saints just put some mess in the bed? Tell me.
I think it's a combination of both, to be honest with you. This is the Swans were putrid in the first half. Absolutely putrid. They were butchering the ball, could not hit a target worth their life. I can't tell you how many over kicks, how many under kicks, how many shithouse handballs, how many times they buggered anything that they could find a way to bugger up, they did. And for them to still be kind of in the game at halftime, I was still sitting there going like, I know this is at the percentage that at the points that it is, but this is a Sydney team again on their day when they do can put up goal after goal after goal after goal after goal. I mean, Carlton round one putting up 12 and a quarter. I wasn't ever sitting here going, oh my God, it's over. I never, even at 33, I was like, I never said it's over. There was a dread that, oh my God, are we absolutely going to shit the bed to say it out loud. Did I think they were going to shit the bed? Yes, there was a fear of that almost the entire game. But it hit the fourth quarter and the end of the third quarter where Naz has the fresh airy and then Kerno dribble kicks it from 50.
Yep.
And there was part of me that went, was that the game changer? Was that the thing that gave the Swans? The crowd got back into the game because there for a while it was dead. Like even the announcers were saying, like it was so quiet at the SCG. When that goal went through, and you could hear kind of the roar of the Sydney faithful kind of go to, and knowing that Charlie Curnow sometimes in games like this, when he needs to be big, doesn't come up. I was like, okay, here we're up and about. We lose Tommy McCartan in this game to a scary concussion. I know the one thing that's kind of nice about our bye week is that we play Port and we have a bye week. So if he can recover quickly enough, which I think the bye week is going to end up being kind of perfect for the Swans, if Tommy can come back for not this for that game after the bye, we'll have to see. But I'm sitting here going like, as we were going through the fourth quarter, Sydney would they couldn't kick straight too. They kicked a couple of behinds. I'm going, oh come on, we're
It's a
gonna
bit of a
fall.
theme of the weekend, isn't it, Don?
Exactly. Well, bad kicking is bad footy. Let's we'll be
100%.
100 honest. The last and there's some controversy too, and I will address that for the Saints fans that are looking at it going, Donnie, tell me, was it 15? I don't know because the camera angle will never fully tell us. And again, this is where the umpiring, the constant changing of umpiring, I think just buggers up the sport. There's gray area. There's always gray area. I think we all can sit here as footy fans and say we have seen a kick that's gone 8 meters get called a mark, and we've all seen a kick that's probably been 20 meters said not 15, play on. It's gonna happen. Do I hate that it happened when it did? Absolutely. But as I told Nick pre-Mike, my response to the people that are like, well, that costs the Saints the game. No, it didn't. It didn't cost the Saints the game because what did he do? He runs deeper into the pocket and then puts it into three Swans at the top of the square with one Saint. The ball gets kicked out. It goes to the other side of the field. Okay. So he had a chance, if he wanted to put it top of the center or to maybe try to attack into the corridor a little bit, and he miskicks it. Okay. That's that. We don't know. And plus, okay, say that he did get the mark. What if he kicks it out in the full? And then the Swans take it down the field and kick the goal. It's hindsight's 2020. Okay, yes, the Swans end up winning the game on what was another one like Port Adelaide a few years ago with it's the ruck to Gray for a goal. This is almost the perfect thing. Grundy back taps it to Heaney, who gets loose of Windhager for one of the few times that he did, and finds Jai Sarong with a paddock and nobody around him. And the former Hawthorn player absolutely slots it with a snap that I will legitimately say this. It's 3 a.m. I'm laying down in bed and I'm absolutely losing my proverbial shit. Okay. Behind the mic, I get this message. I won't say anything. I'm sure if you're not watching, you will later, but certainly been around a footy. My response is, mate, I'm losing my shit right now.
Yep, that was
Like,
our exact conversation.
legitimately, I have it up on my phone right now. Like, legitimately, that was my response. Like, this is
Yeah.
just after the game is over, like, final siren. I am still absolutely losing it because I was not expecting us to
Yeah,
win that game, no matter how much as confident as I am in my club. When it got under a minute and we're still down four and we kick two behinds, I was just like, oh, like we had it, but we're gonna fall short. When Sarong slotted that, then my first next response is, oh dear God, there's still 12 seconds left.
there's still time.
And
And yeah,
I remember last year Marshall free kick to Naz to win the game. So there's a part of me that was still absolutely deathly afraid. And my favorite part is James Jordan sits off the contest, gets the forward ruck tap by Rowan Marshall, kicks it straight,
sends
and
it
then Gus
in.
Sheldrick wins a contest and then hits Armadi, who gets a kick after the siren. He
And
sprays it
doubles your
right.
lead.
Yeah,
Doubles your
yeah.
lead.
Sprays it right to get a 104, 102 instead of a 103,
Yeah,
102 win. But
exactly. Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like this was one of those. I feel sorry for. I really am gutted for the Saints fans because this was your best performance, and it still doesn't end up in four
yes,
points. And I think that's the frustrating part about this Saints side is I think they've got the pieces and they've got the ability, but right now it's execution because let's go back. Nas, the $2 million man, let's be honest, his fresh airy, I think got the momentum when Kerno kicks the goal. That changed the game. If he doesn't fresh air, if he blasts that down the field and Sydney doesn't cut the lead, how's the game different? We don't know. We don't know, but it could have been the difference in this game. If Charlie Kerno doesn't be able to pick up the crumb and kick a 50-meter roller, I know Chief is probably loving that. No, it was just it was a game that again, if you watch the score, it was not the epic classic that people are making it off to be. It was the Saints pretty much dominated most of that game, except for about a 5 minute spat at the start of the first quarter. The Saints were leading most of this game. They were playing good footy. They were absolutely punishing the Swans on turnover, absolutely punishing them. But this is one of those Swans get it done. Again, gutted for the Saints fans. Again, you have my sympathies. I'm not going online and rip and absolutely taking the Mickey out of you. I won't do
Oh,
that. A
I believe
because
if you read the follow-up messages to the one I sent you, Donnie, I
yep,
believe I said I'm just about to go and do some welfare checks on
yep,
some
yep,
Saints fans who should not feel like this, or
yeah.
something to that effect.
Well, another
It was
one.
a rough one.
Yep, yep. No, and another one that I jokingly, and I know Nick will laugh at this, is I said this bloody team is going to kill me
Yeah, and again,
because they
as
do
a
this. They
Dogs
do this.
fan,
Yep.
having now what, six under
Yep.
six, they do it to you.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No.
no, it was a good win, and it was a good game of footy. And as you say, like moments change things, and you can try and blame a win or a loss on a moment,
Yep.
but you just have to appreciate each of the moments.
Yep,
And
it's the plight it's the plight of a footy fan. It's the plight of a footy fan. So
absolutely.
let's I don't want to more wax more lyrical. We still got two more games and a few things to go, and I'm looking at my time
Oh,
going, oh, I gotta pick it
wow,
up just
we
the tiniest bit.
yeah.
Now you're good. No, let's move on. As classic as this one is, to move on to the MCG where Carlton get a 5 point win over Essendon. I really kind of want to break it down to, I mean, this is unfortunately, two bottom five sides showing why they're two bottom five sides. Carlton get another win, but
Yep.
I just the herd signs from the Essendon faithful. I love you guys to death, but this cult
No,
like
it was
this
tasteless.
almost feverish cult like love for James Hurd is getting a little annoying because the guy's been out of the game for 10 years. I mean, yes, he covers it, but he hasn't really coached. I just think this is where the old boys club it starts to get annoying and I almost want to go hire him because then my favorite response is if they absolutely suck, I can
Collapse.
go, well,
Yeah.
there's your medicine. Take it. So
I
again,
don't just Donny. I don't know how much you remember about when James Hurd was last coach. Don't talk
yeah,
about
I
taking
remember.
medicine.
I
There were
remember.
some issues.
Yeah, I get it. But I'm
No, no,
saying
I
that
know what you mean.
they're
Exactly.
asking they're asking for something that
It,
honestly I almost want them to get because if it blows up in their face, you can literally look at all the Essendon fans and go, "This is what you asked for."
yeah,
I honestly don't think they know what they're asking for. Again, James Hurd is a legend, and I get it. But there are times when you have to kind of understand that the game has changed. It is not the same as it was the last time he coached. And again, I know all of the drama of that. But I just want to go. Carlton did what they needed to do. Was it impressive? No. I mean, because they're playing Essendon. Let's just be legitimately honest here. This is an undermanned Essendon team that has played like absolute shithouse. A 5 point win is not impressive. I'm happy you got the 4 points. Fantastic. But I look at the opponent and go, it's nothing to brag on.
Yeah, it so it was, I mean, I originally intended to go to this game, but I just a Sunday night not feeling the best and wanting to be up for Neil's game. Although I must admit the pre-game they did for Neil, because he is an Essendon man as
Yep.
well, so we
Yep.
can't forget that. So I almost want to put those two experiences, almost Sunday night being quite an emotional tribute to Neil.
Yep.
With Essendon particularly, some of the family were there, some of the brothers, and then having the fun of Monday. So I do want to just put that out there and say that was a great moment at the start of the game. It was a tough first half of footy to watch in particular. It was a lot of turnover. There were no clean contests. Like every marking contest, you were waiting to see what the free kick was. And I don't put that down to the umpiring. I put it down to players not being able to cleanly spoil or mark the ball. It was just everything was poor. The second half, I must admit, it was a lot better to watch. It was contested footy, it was played at pace, but it still felt like both teams were trying to lose. And Carlton, to all their credit, four in a row makes me feel a lot better about losing to them now a month ago. The dead coach bounce game. So now I say, well, if everyone else is losing to Carlton, then it was okay that we did as well. But I think the only things I'd say, like from a gameplay perspective, it felt like someone like Nate Caddy should have been brought into the middle, or like brought in from
100%.
Essendon to just spice them up. It felt like, Carlton kept bringing their best to the ball. They kept
Yep.
bringing their best players in and they just wanted to win. Whereas Essendon were happy to just have their young guys running around. And I don't know if that's Dean Solomon, if that's a choice of his, or if they
Hmm.
just didn't quite have the tactics. Um, it just felt like Carlton were always going to run away with it. And as you said, Donny, to win by 5 points, they probably should have won it by 5 goals,
Hmm.
given how the last 10
100%.
minutes went. They
Yep.
should have just steamrolled them, but they just kept Essendon in it.
Yep.
Other than that, I'll just say I'd forgotten that the Mackay brothers had actually played against each other in 2024. Because that nothing really happened. This one was quite nice, They kicked a couple of goals each. They played against each other. They went back to the sitting in the lounge room having a few punch-ons like brothers should. So
Love it.
that was quite nice to see. And I messaged a few friends who are Carlton fans, and they said they were quite happy to see Ben and Harry are going at it. But beyond that, yeah, I don't know how much more we need to say about the actual football.
Yeah.
Carlton
No,
kept the points.
I know there's the conspiracy theory that Ben and Harry are the same person, and that's the reason why they never played against each other. It's again,
Finally, it's
it,
been dispelled.
I know exactly, but it was funny at the start of the game that they were both full forwards for for each of
Yeah,
their
for their
respective
respective
teams.
teams.
Yeah, so we didn't even
They-
we didn't
they-
even get the matchup between the two very 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 much. But
Well,
no, like,
there was a point where someone went back because at some point they were
yep,
fighting, so it must have
yeah.
happened. But
Yeah, nope. But
yeah,
just to go off your Nate Caddy thing is, I think they could have got him in the game. They weren't ever aiming. They weren't going for him. There were so many
no,
times Nate Caddy was in a panic, wide open, and they missed him. So like I think he could have been in the game. It was almost Essendon decision making with footy in hand that really kind of kept that from happening. So that was the frustrating part about this one again. I think Essendon has a much better list than some people are giving them credit for. But the issue they're running into right now is just it's inconsistency. It's a lack of preparation. Um, it's are they ruining not moving Zach Merritt on and getting the picks and trying to build? I think is the biggest thing. Again, I don't want to go into all that drama. Again, I thought it was kind of funny that that Coach Scott did kind of pull the rug out from underneath the club a little bit with that particular. But I don't mind it because he was being honest. Like as I said earlier, I think sometimes these clubs like to bullshit us and they think that we're just going to accept it. Go, oh yeah, you're right. No, nah. I just don't believe you when too many things in front of my face tell me the opposite. And I think that's the frustrating part about that. So let's move
100%.
to the King's birthday game, a game that you were just like I said, hours off of seeing. Another absolute classic as the Melbourne Demons get an 8-point win, 83-75. I mean, the fight M&D, the slide is magnificent. I've already seen the costumes. I'm gonna try to watch the actual slides a little bit later. Again, like I said, I woke up maybe an hour and a half ago, so I saw the highlights of this game. Cracking game of footy again. Keziah Pickett again being Keziah Pickett. Absolutely love him to death. I know there was one point there at the fourth quarter where he could have absolutely made himself look like an absolute muppet with that out on the full, but was able to hold it back.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Dacos solid. Again, I am not a huge Bruzzy Maynard fan, but two absolutely devastating chances of him having his shoulder pop out. I hope he's okay. I hope there isn't too much damage, but that is concerning that just a extension of the arms pops it out again. I worry that surgery may be necessary for that. Again, the D's are getting it done. They're impressive to watch. Again, what Coach King is doing is absolutely magnificent. If he is not Coach of the Year, I don't know how who you go it to. I know Longmuir is winning with the Fremantle team, but again, there was a lot of people that were on the Fremantle bandwagon. Coach King is the Coach of the Year for me, doing what he did after moving Petrarca, after moving Oliver, not having Viney at all this year, and them being a finals team right now. Like again, hat
And
tip, round of applause, Coach King. What you are doing is magnificent.
it's a good point about them being a finals team because I think they have. I won't say they've slipped under the radar because I don't think they ever can. Being literally Melbourne, they're one of the teams that do get quite a bit of scrutiny. And I'll admit it, struggled to analyze this game because, as you say, you've just woken up to get the highlights, and I was kind of there and didn't get a chance to decompress on the game. But yeah, it was an awesome game of footy, and as you say, I saw the D's lose to my Bulldogs a few weeks ago, and I'm not sure that they should have. Again, maybe that's a reflection more on the Dogs having just a bit of grit and just getting that win that they potentially didn't deserve. I'm sorry, but I'm literally opening the stats now to get a bit of a reminder on what happened. And yeah, I think the moment for me was that Cozzy last 5 minutes. I mean, he had probably two golden opportunities to seal it and didn't, and then took the third. And he just kept going and going and going. And he did win the Neil Danaher trophy, which was obviously a bit of a reflection on the life of Neil, which we've spoken about a bit. And the idea, the phrase we've heard so much this weekend and the last few weeks is play on.
Mhm.
And you've already heard the joke 10 times, so I'm not making anything original here, but Cosy Pickett playing on, it could have won him the award or it could have lost him that award.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean it was just a good game at footy, and it was the names you expect sticking out, Gorn and Dacos doing their thing.
Hmm.
Both of them, both the Dacos brothers were just running around. I was really hoping it would be sort of a bit of a thrashing one way or the other. Could relax and just enjoy a Monday afternoon in the sun after the slide and just a beautiful emotional tribute. But of course, these teams don't do it. They didn't do it last year. They tend to take it down to the wire. Um, yeah, no one dominated, but stars all stood up. It was, yeah, great way to finish yet another amazing King's birthday round.
Yeah, no, absolutely cracking, absolutely cracking. Again, we were treated to quite the good one. Now, normally we would do burning questions and then go into team of the week and um, power rankings. But A, because I'm starting to lose time. B, I was not able to do team of the week because this last game again happened only hours ago. We're gonna do a really quick game, play, bench, start, bench, cut. Okay. And I've talked with Nick about this, so he's fully prepared on this. Is that start is something we agree with or something that we would absolutely agree with. Bench is something we're not quite ready to say yes or no. And then cut is absolutely not. So I'm actually going to use some of my burning questions to become that. So Nick, I'll start off the questions. Um, start, bench, cut. This was the best round of footy you have ever seen.
Ever seen? Okay. Look, I'm gonna bench just on the basis of ever seen. Awesome, just an awesome round of footy though, and I think we did find the stat that this is the first time that there's been 6 games within was it 6 points or 10 points? But it was Sir Swamp did give us that stat. I don't know if you've got it up there.
Yep. I think he's got 1, 6, 6, 2, 5, all under 8.
All under 8. And yeah, that is the first time that that's happened. And to do that in a game in a round where there was a bye,
Mm-hmm.
no, it was awesome. So I'll bench best of all time, but I will absolutely start best of this year.
All right. What's your first start bench cut question for me?
Mine is that Nick Watson is now Hawthorn's biggest personality. He's taken over from both Sicily and Ginnivan.
I'm actually gonna start that because not only the wizard they've really captured the wizard part and the wizard hats in the one section. The 1 year is absolutely fantastic. He's a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde for me. He has games where he's absolutely electric. He's the player that he's as advertised. And then there are games where he's just, I mean, he's an absolute little rat bag and it doesn't really do much, but he's just absolutely into the skin of his opponent. So I would agree. I'll start that. I think he's become the bigger personality. Again, Sicily is a personality and a
Yeah.
half, but Watson has really like the comment at halftime to kind of challenge Selwood, and it kind of
Yes.
backfired a little bit on him. But
I loved it.
I kind of appreciate having a go. The only thing though is that it kind of backfired on him, is walking the walk, talking the talk. That didn't happen his way. So I will actually start that. So all right, my next one, start bench cut, and this one has a little bit of emotion to it. The fight M&D round will only grow after Neil's passing.
I I think I think you have to start it. I think it's gonna be yeah, as you say, there's gonna be a lot of emotion to it, but I think there's a lot of people coming through who, in Neil's memory, are going to want to continue the fight against MND. And I think these beanies, what they represent, have they're only gonna they're only going to grow, and I think we need to. I think we need to do this for Neil. Whether it's always Melbourne and Collingwood involved, whether Essendon get involved, I don't know how it'll be in the future. But I think fight M&D as a round and as a day will only grow. Yeah, I'll
Okay,
start that one.
your next one for me.
Um, my next one is a bit broader. I feel like we should have double headers and curtain raisers. I think there was a bit of talk about women's football and the AFLW playing alongside them, and even the VFL. Do we need to get some double headers to some of these AFL games, especially the lower key games?
I'm gonna bench this only because for me, like as the active W fan that I am, I hate the curtain raiser moniker because it kind of takes down
I
the
did say double
significant.
header for that
Yep, double
reason.
double header. Yep. So is it, yeah, and like if you use just double header, I can start that. I think my only worry is that 5 hours of footy is a long time to sit for it. It's the only thing that I worry about these double headers this year with men's women's games, is that that's a long time for fans to sit and support. Yes, they're supporting their club, but that's a long time because men's game usually around 3 hours, women's game around 2 hours. That's 5 hours of footy, just the games. That's not warm ups. That's not sitting through the halftime stuff and everything like that. So I'm gonna bench it only because I'm not sure how
You can't see the
attendance is gonna
benefit.
be if it happens.
Yeah.
Like I like the VFL curtain raiser because it's something for fans to come and see potentially the future, especially if you have reserve sides. But the issue I see is that are they going to start calling the women's games for these double headers, women's men's? Are they going to call it curtain raisers, which is delegitimizing the W a little bit more? And it's the one thing that I fear with these double headers, is that the women's game will be delegitimized or be seen as subservient to the men's competition because of it. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna bench it only because I worry they're going to be called curtain raisers for some of these. But in
And
the
I
long run,
don't,
I think the
yeah.
double headers are actually a good thing because you're going to maybe show some of these fans some of these games they might not have seen if it wasn't in the same venue back to back.
Well, I think yeah, and to be honest, that was a bit off the back of some of your chats with Naj and Brenner last week. Is
Yeah.
I think they said the same thing, and that's why I was interested. Do we? do we try to promote this and have it as a double header?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I,
Fully.
I I quite like your
Absolutely
thought.
fully. So
What was your next one, Donny?
I have a fun one here. Okay. I'm seriously interested on this. Is the
Oh
Lions
no.
dynasty over?
Oh, I'm I'm going to cut it, and I'm not going to cut it in the sense that they're going to win a premiership this year. I'm going to cut it in the sense that they are no worse of a side than they were last year or the year before. You said it before. They've got a few players out. They've got a few players that have moved on, but they do have a squad there. They don't seem to have performed the way they did in 2025. But I want to cut that and just say no. The Lions are here to do say a Richmond who won 3 and 4. They won't do it this year. Um, I think they'll make potentially the 4, but I don't see them going on to win the flag. But I would rule them out next year. No,
Yep. I'm gonna bench it because I want to see how the rest of this year goes. Like I think in
love it.
I think in 3 rounds we're gonna be able to tell because if they submarine, I think I worry that their older players have been great, but can their youngsters do it? Because their youngsters have been exposed to a little bit of being one-way runners, and I think that's the thing that I worry about with that. So okay, so next question for me.
Um, this one's a bit more. This is back to the footy. Do we need to reset the kick-in rule back to the days where the umpire waves the flag and the player from fullback has to kick it in? So there's an opportunity if there's a review or a check. Do we need to just slow the game down at the kick-in?
Oh, I'm gonna bench it only because we've artificially made some controversies a little bit because of this. And I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I'm honest on this, and it's the same thing that's happened up here in American sports, is they have made the sport for people with attention spans of a gnat, and I think that's the frustrating part about it is that for sports people that just love sport and want to watch sport, we can sit through a dour game because we're used to it. We love certain things like that. It's trying to entertain the fan that has about this much ability to pay attention that I think is the reason why. And this innate ability to want perfection out of humans is rather frustrating. You're gonna have errors, okay? You're gonna have controversies. You're gonna have talk radio content all the time. I understand. I think the being able to just run out of the square, play on type of thing, I think is actually good because it's better than it being stuck or just how many times are we going to see if you go back to that old rule of just kicking into the pocket and extending the kick out, another kick? Like I kind of like this play on thing because it lets the ground be gained by the defensive team, gets it up to the wing, and then maybe we could see a crumb, one handball. Now we have a rush on the other goal because it's not kick into the pocket, mark, set defense, dower, kick it down the line, spoiled over another boundary throw in. So like I kind of like the ability to do it, but I understand that you don't want to miss something that could affect the outcome of the game. But it's again, it's a hindsight 2020. So I'm gonna bench it because I don't mind the new rules because I like the plan because I think it extends the game away from one side of the field. But I get where you could have the clanger like you had last week with Ollie Dempsey having a goal, but because the referee was confident, because the umpire was confident, that's why it wasn't reviewed. So fully get that. So I'm gonna have a little bit of fun with this one. As the WA boy that you are, Wharfy time will be the reason the Dockers make the grand final.
Specifically Wharfie time. All right. I'll bench it because I feel like I disrespect some Fremantle fans who think that it's not just the last 10 minutes of the last quarter. Is that I can't believe that goes back to the Matthew Pavlich days and you just didn't hear about it for so long. But look, Fremantle will make the grand final. I will put my toes on that, but I don't know that it's just Wharfie time, so we'll bench that. I think it'll help them just maybe get the maybe it'll help them win it. Maybe 10 minutes to go in the last quarter. For some reason, someone hooks the PA up at the MCG, and they get
That'd
those
be
two goals
hilarious.
to get them over the line.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. All right, all right. Let's go.
Uh,
Last question for me.
I've got one more for you, and it stays in West Australia, but I think I know it's a bit too controversial to be real. West Coast will win more than they lose for the rest of the year.
I'm going to start that. I honestly think they're going to be a team that honestly, if I'm a team rounds 18 to 24, I do not want to see the Eagles. I don't, especially if I'm a
Even
team
Sans Jimby.
fighting. Even Saints Jimby, just because he's such an emotional leader for them that I think he's going to be almost like another coach on the bench. Like I love what McWalter is doing. I think he is starting to get this group to believe. He's getting the impact of Will Dersma. He's getting the impact of Harley Reid as Harley Reid that we kind of know him as. Again, is he a little inconsistent when it comes to his total output? Yes, but we're starting to see it a little bit more consistently. Coop Duff Tyler has not given us his best yet. There's
Mm,
still more he can give. That's what's scary. This is a team that I'm finding myself enjoying watching them because they're starting to kind of get that mongrel back. They're starting to get a little bit of that fight into them. Elliot Yo is playing some great footy. McCarthy has come in from last year's
yeah,
mid-season draft and has
mid-season.
absolutely been sensational for them. If I'm a team on the Eagles schedule and I'm in finals contention, they're worrying me.
Yep.
My only retort to that is that the Jekyll and Hyde, because we saw two wins and then the Swans absolutely smashed them.
Mm,
So I'm going to start it only because I think the Eagles, again, they're going to be that team nobody wants to play at the end of the year. Absolutely nobody wants to play because they are a difficult, difficult team when they're up and about, especially in WA. It's when they leave the confines of Western Australia is when they become a little bit more fragile. So we'll have to see on that. So I hope that was fun. That was a lot of fun for
yeah.
me. I kind of had to ad lib a little bit. Like I said, I couldn't do team of the week just because of the way the schedule was and the way we set up this recording. So, really quick, we will do our tips for the next week. Only 7 games this week because 4 teams get a chance to put their feet up. Collingwood, Carlton, Hawthorn, and Fremantle all get to put their feet up and watch the footy this weekend. And we'll start off Thursday night footy. And I know my co-host will be up and about for this one. Marvel Stadium is his beloved Western Bulldogs take on the Adelaide Crows. Doggies, Crows, who do you like?
Uh, I think the doggies should do it. I think they've got the talent back, and I think they've got the run on. I just am praying it's not another game under 6 points. We've done it 6 times, including against Adelaide back in round 3 or 4 over there. No, I think the dogs can get the win.
Doggies for me, just because it's at Marvel Stadium. If this was in Adelaide, I'd be a little bit more, but some of the injuries concern me a little bit, so I'm going to tip the doggies on this one. GMHBA Stadium, Geelong Cats versus Gold Coast Suns, a rematch from earlier this year. Cats, Suns, who do you like?
Um, we mentioned the Gold Coast win-loss record after Darwin. Um, technically, by the law, that they should win this game, but I just can't see them get over Geelong at Geelong. So it's the Cats for me there.
Cat's too strong. Cat's too strong at home. Sun's too damn inconsistent for me, especially when they leave the confines of Queensland. So I'm going to tip the Cats on this one. An interesting one, a rematch. Melbourne maybe having a little bit of revenge on their minds as they take on Essendon at the MCG. Give me the D's on this one. And I think the D's put a number on the Bombers.
Yeah, I can't. As much as I want to see Dean Solomon get a win, just for the sake of some very struggling Essendon fans, I think the D's roll on from today's win.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting on this one. A fascinating one, Optus Stadium, but a North home game, North versus West Coast. Who do you like?
Yeah, North going from their traditional home ground of Bunbury and heading up to their traditional home ground of Optus Stadium. Uh, I don't know. I feel like North need to win this because the WA selling games experiment has been a bust, and if they don't win this, I think there are some North fans that live in West Australia who are going to be disappointed. So I'll maybe go a surprise one and go the Roos.
Yeah, I'm as much as I would love to tip the Roos in this one, West Coast, I think there's going to be more blue. There's going to be more blue and gold than blue and white in this one, which I think will give the Eagles a little bit of a bump. The Ruben Jimby injury bothers me a little bit with Larkey and Darling. But I they get a bump at home, so I'm going to tip the Eagles in this one in a little bit of an upset. Let's go Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide versus Sydney. Sydney having a few injuries. I know Tommy McCartan will definitely be out. Justin McInerney, I believe, will probably be out with his ankle injury. So a few to replace here. Port Adelaide, Sydney. Who do you like?
Probably the toughest one of the round, although I must admit I haven't looked at the last couple of games, but I would probably have to go with Sydney. I think that they've got the run of form at the moment.
Yeah, tipping Sydney, but this one concerns me a little bit. Georgiades is going to be a matchup nightmare. Does Edwards get it? Do they bring Joel Hamling in? How do the Swans respond to this one? Who do they replace when it comes to Justin McInerney if he is indeed out? And there's questions on Lizard. I don't think so. I just think Lizard is always a little bit beat up at the end of games, but Swans, I think, just a little bit too much firepower for this Port Adelaide team. That's still they're really missing Connor Rosie on this one. So tipping the Swans for this one. Richmond and Brisbane at Ninja Stadium down in Hobart, which is an interesting one for the Richmond Tigers to be down in Tassie. Give me the Lions on this one. Lions too good. I think this trip may not be a bad thing, and they get a Richmond Tigers team. This is a perfect setup for the Brisbane to get a little bit more confidence after a nice win over the Suns.
Uh, yeah, I'm not sure if Brisbane have come off the bye or if they're going into the bye. Richmond obviously coming off the bye. Brisbane should win this one and win this one well, and if they're going into the bye, especially so.
Yep. No. And then I think sneaky game of the round. Marvel Stadium sees St. Kilda take on GWS. A fascinating one in this. St. Kilda licking their wounds after the loss to Sydney. GWS on in Fuego, but coming off a bye.
Hmm. I think St Kilda in Melbourne. And as you say, licking their wounds, they need to win one. So I'll take the Saints.
I'm going to take GWS. I like the mojo. They've gotten the tsunami back. Marvel Stadium is perfect. They don't have to worry about any weather issues. Um, Granted that the lid should be closed, which I think at that particular time it is. During the day, they don't
It
want
will
any
be
sun there for
Sunday.
some weird reason, so it'll probably be closed. I like what the Giants are doing. I know sometimes coming off a bye is frustrating. Saints having Nas back, I think helps, but I'm going to tip the Giants in this one in a tiny bit of an upset, at least by the odds makers. So I hate to flash through the end of the episode, but I'm looking at my time clock going, I've got to go into work today, so I got to get going. So Nick, it is fantastic to sit here and to chat with you. It is always great to talk with another fellow footy nuffy. Thank you so much for hopping on the podcast today.
Now, always appreciate Donny, and thanks for what you do for footy. We'll chat again soon.
Awesome, awesome. Absolutely cannot wait. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode of Donnie's Disposals. Again, if you like what you are listening to, please like and subscribe, and we'll be back with more footy coverage very, very